Well, making $1 million is easier than making $1,000. Sounds crazy, but you know it's true. And you see them all. You see the Richard Bransons of this world. They're out there having fun, kite surfing. You see them all doing it really, really well. The Bill Gates, all of them have done it. Steve Jobs. No matter who you look at, you're going, they just seem to be able to make their money a lot easier than what I can, what we do. And what is this? And this is something I really want to get into, and we cover this in real good detail. So it's really a mindset. It's really an attitude. See, when we grew up, we were taught, I don't know about you, I shouldn't say that, but I was taught, a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. Work hard and you'll get paid well. And really, these are just myths. These are just myths that are going to trap you. The truth of the matter is that if you work hard in a job, then that is just one form of leverage. That is trading your time to get some money. And there's going to be a limit on that. There's going to be a limit of how much people are willing to pay you, and there's going to be a limit of how much time you've got to actually give that job. So you're actually limited. You might be 30, 50, 80, maybe $250,000 a year, but no matter what it is, you're going to be limited. And then the next type of leverage is to get into a business, employ other people. But again, you're paying them for their time. There's so much of their time they can give you in your company, so you can make profit off the hours that they give you. I mean, that's the difference, isn't it? What you're paying them and then what the profit you make off them. And the third leverage, and the really great one that they use, is media. The disadvantage is that media is so expensive. Apart from social media, apart from the online stuff, apart from podcasting. If you have a look at what all the big guys do, they use the media and they use the power of communication to attract more customers to them faster than they could ever market to them any other way. And that power is right in your hands, and it's called podcasting. And we're going to be covering off on how to structure a podcast properly. So the podcasting and the structuring of storytelling, it doesn't matter what it is, if you're selling, if you're recruiting, if you're trying to get a job, everyone is telling a story. You're structuring something, and I don't mean a false story. I mean, that's actors. But if you look at communication and you have a look at the people, the singers, the actors, they're saying false stories and they're getting paid millions and millions for doing this. So imagine how much money you can earn if you start telling true stories about business and about your life and about whatever it is you want to talk about. I think back to, I think it's Zappos shoe company. And he said, look, we want to tell them stories about the shoes, about the events they go to, the weddings that are happening, the christenings, the birthday parties, about our lives, about the babies being born in the office. And they're all the stories that he was talking about. And it made them $1 billion company. It's incredible, the power of storytelling, the power of podcasting. And when I say podcasting, people get a little bit hung up on this word. Podcasting is storytelling. So whether it is a video podcast, whether it is an audio podcast, whether you take that podcast and turn it into text and put it as a blog, that's still a podcast in my mind. And you can combine all of them, and guess what? Then you can produce a book. And a book gives you real authority, gives you real trusted authority and credibility in the workplace or the marketplace that you're in. So how do you structure? This is what I want to cover off today. How do you actually structure a podcast? Well, the first thing is, if we actually go to a networking meeting, what happens there is we actually introduce ourselves. We say our name first, where we're from first, and all that. Podcasting is a little bit different. Podcasting, when we're doing that to structure our stories, and if we're making offers, by the way, and we're going to cover this in another video, because you haven't got a cash flow problem, you've got an offer flow problem if you're running out of money. But we'll cover that later. But in this one, so podcasting, getting back to it. Come on, Michael. You have to tell them what's in it for them. You have to tell them the main title of what your story is going to be about. So that is setting the scene, what we call setting the scene. You actually tell them what this is going to be about, what is in it for them. That's the first thing. So you've got to think the title, and the title is really what you're going to talk about. And if you think about that, you're only going to be talking about one thing on your podcast, and that's true. So many people talk about 3 or 4 or 5 different things, go off on tangents. Where's this going? We have no idea, and they lose you. And if you're really looking at making that $1 million and capitalizing on it to increase, make money out of podcasting and make money for your business that you're running, then you need to be very succinct. So tell them the title and what is going to be in it for them. And then tell them who it's for. And everyone watching this knows it's for people who want to make money, who are tired of working all the time, tired of working the 9 to 5 and going, there's got to be an easier way. And there definitely is an easier way. And then you begin the journey. You start talking about some of the challenges, some of the solutions that you've come up with, and you do 3 or 4 of them in your storytelling. We're going to go into this in a lot more detail as we go through this series with real life examples. And if you want to join us on Patreon, where we have live discussions on this, that'd be absolutely fantastic to see about that. I'm just about to launch that now. I want to make it very, very cost effective for people. So giving people who don't have big lump sums of money access to some real quality training and some real quality advice. That's what we're doing that for. So you cover off your 3 or 4 problems and giving the solutions, and then you conclude with the biggest takeaway, the action you want them to take. That's what it's all about. So it's as simple as set the scene, introduce the characters, let's talk about some problems and solve them, because we've all got problems and we want to know how they get solved, and then the biggest takeaway there is that you want to do it. That is how you set the storytelling up. That's how you set a podcast up. And that will get you into the biggest leverage you're ever going to have, and that is communication. Communication is the biggest leverage tool you've got. That's the takeaway from this, by the way, is communication is the biggest leverage tool you've got. And the communicators, whether they're singer-songwriters, whether they're just singers, whether they're actors, whether they're people doing podcasts, whether it's Bill Gates, whether it's, an Anthony Robbins, whether it's Myron, Golden, one of my favorites, communication gives them the greatest leverage to get them millions of dollars without them having to work hard. I'll see you on the next one.